All right, we are here. This is Sky Juice coming to you live and direct. And we have,
Tony B is here, ready to come with an opinion or so, a viewpoint or something, just give some input, hopefully enlighten some people, give some people a
absolutely,
different perspective.
absolutely. So tonight we are going to be talking about the next phase in our life, which is the aging, the older age time of our life, and what we are doing to prepare for it.
Part two of life, and how well are we going to be prepared for it? Are we going to be prepared for it enough to be able to manage our lives and hopefully not have to impede on other people's lives and, allow them not to be able to live their lives as well.
So, what's going on out here right now? I feel like there is a lot of families that are burdened by the elders of the family who are not able to care for themselves anymore. And thus, now because family loves each other, we have to like jump in and start creating a whole new time and financial, you know, thing that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the way to do it. It's basically how I'm feeling.
Well, I think it has to go a lot back to, and we haven't done any of our financial literacy topics yet, which we need to start getting on at least once a month when we talk about financial literacy and how it can help you and how it can help you get by in life. Because when it kind of comes down to that, as far as knowing how to work your money, manage your money, how to manage your streams of income, how to have multiple streams of income versus just one, because we were kind of taught to get a job, get a 401k or a pension, and believe that that's enough to sustain you in other part of your life. And 9 times out of 10, it's not really, depending on where you
Absolutely.
live. People have to relocate. You get people that are older that are still working. So it's rough. Maybe we should wait a little bit so some more people can populate in. We got people online yet or what?
We definitely have a nice small little group, but we can still keep it going.
Okay.
I feel like, I mean, I've experienced it with my mom when she was sick, and it was horrible,
Mm-hmm.
in to say the very least. I mean, nothing was really super organized financially, and time wise, it became a huge pull on everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And it is really, it was what it was, and of course, you do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
But how can we prevent that type of thing from happening over, and like every generation is in this like, okay, well, now they can't take care of themselves anymore. What are we going to do? For my grandmother, it was a whole friggin' disaster. And it was like, this is absolutely not how I want to go out. You know what I mean?
But
Because
it's good to be able to
who's
have.
going to take care of her? Who's going to take care of her? And nobody wants to do it because it's hard, and it costs a lot, and it's costs a lot energetically, not just financially.
It's
Whew,
good to get a perspective like that. So now that kind of gets you ready to prepare for yourself and know
for
that,
sure.
okay, I don't want to have my situation be like that. So you kind of learn from these, experiences and say,
Mistakes.
yeah, mistakes. But like I said, it goes a lot deeper because, like I said, a lot of it has to do with, your financial situation and who's going to really be able to take care of you or help you out if you need that. You know what I mean? Are you going to have the finances to have someone to take care of you, as far as having an in-home caretaker, as far as you being able to live in a facility that's a decent facility and not a facility that are just throwing the old people to the side like they tend to do here in America.
Right.
If you don't have any finance, you don't have any money, they're just going to send you somewhere and just wait for you to die, type of
And
thing.
then how people just think that like a social security check is going to take care of them, and
No.
it doesn't even cover nothing.
Yeah, even the retirement checks, those 401ks and those pensions, depending on where how many people I know that say once they retire, they're leaving California. I got people that live in California. They're like, that's just not going to work. They're
You
not.
know how
They
many
don't have enough
people
money.
have left the country because they can get the whole entire everything. They can get a housekeeper and someone who cleans and gardens and does caretaking, an actual in-home caretaking for like, I can't come up with real numbers because I can't really say. I know a lady I know who lives in Panama, her and her husband, they left the US, went to Panama on their retirement, and they have a full-time housekeeper. They're not elderly where they need full-time care,
Mm-hmm.
but they left the country because they can have a whole full-time housekeeper every day, all day for $500 a month.
Well, think about the perspective of people's viewpoint of other countries. We tend to think that other countries are just way below our means of living as far as what you can be provided in these other countries. You know, we think every single other world that every other country we go to is going to be a third world country, and that's not always the case. You know what I mean? Will some of the luxuries that we have here in the United States kind of be different or be taken away? Yes, some of them. But when you think about the other things that you'll benefit from, it's much more. You know what I mean? But the perspective is put out there that if you go to anywhere other besides the United States, you're going to live a terrible life and you're going to be miserable, and that's not the case.
No, not
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Out of the country actually tends to have more care for the elderly anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know a friend of mine, his mom recently passed, he from Puerto Rico,
Mm-hmm.
and he literally quit his job and went home to go take care of her,
Mm-hmm.
and not everyone can just like up and go back
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. People
You
don't
know what
have
I
it.
mean? Like
Yeah.
that's like a whole like, but when I was living in Puerto Rico, they didn't have the means to put their elderly in any of these homes, but they were all like living together.
Mm-hmm.
They all just took care of, la
Mm-hmm.
madre, la
Yeah.
doña. And it was like, you know, it was just part of the culture, wasn't even thought of. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I mean, I know it was taxing and it was a lot, but that was just standard.
And then honestly, too, when you do have people that are older like that, they don't want to burden anybody else. They don't want to be a burden on, calling and can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? You know what I mean? Like the title says it all. Who's going to be changing your diaper? Like who wants to really be calling somebody to ask them to change their diaper? You know what I mean? Or whatever the case. Like, it's like, where's your dignity at? You know what I mean? It seems like it goes all the way once you get to a certain age and a certain point where you just cannot provide or do for yourself. You need someone else to be there for you. Like a living caretaker or living in a I don't know if I want to call it a convalescent home or retirement community, however you want to spell it. I mean, I guess it's all the same, right?
I mean, I think the communities, I mean, once you say like, if it's a good one, I think it could be so beneficial. And I encourage a lot of the elder people to go into these places because my grandmother's sister was in one for like 20 years because she lived to like 102. And I feel like she lived a really good life, that last part of her life in this home, because her peers were there. You know what I'm saying? And I find that a lot of elders are stuck home alone by themselves, looking out the damn window, dying slowly, depressed, no friends, and people really go and check up on them just to see if they're still alive. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no real living.
So when we talk about that too, we have to be honest and say there is some actual facilities out there that aren't the greatest because they're people just trying to get money and they're not really taking care. There's some really, really good ones out there because I know some people that actually work at some, but then there are some that just aren't, really up to stuff to where I think it has to do with the more money you have to spend, the better taken care of you'll be.
Well, so there's going to be a market for every budget, right? Now, what I feel is for like the middle class group of people who they don't have $5,000 a month to go put their mom in any facility. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like basically, you've heard of like boys' homes.
Yeah.
Where it's just like an individual house. So they'll have a private house like yours or mine.
Mm-hmm.
and they'll have like 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, and there'll be 3 or 4 people in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll have like 24-hour care coming in, and they manage maybe like a few houses, and they're way more affordable.
Now, even when you talk about that too, you talk about the people that are going to be running these facilities and how much they're going to be getting paid, because you get what you pay for. So if you
Well,
have people,
they're making money from like insurance and like whatever. I mean, I'm not sure. I didn't research all the pricing. I know
are we
I
talking about the people that actually own the facilities or people that are working there?
So what was your question again?
Okay, the people that are working there, they're getting paid how much, and what are these people qualifications? Are they RNs or
Got it.
medical
So
assistants?
what I do know is when I was in Baltimore, I had a house and I left to Puerto Rico and a girl rented it, a woman, and it was a 5-bedroom house. So she told me she wants to make it into an elder care home.
Okay.
So she went down to the city, whatever. She had to take a course and get licensed for it. They have to come. She had to put like fire exits and the different things to make it up to code to what she wanted to do. And she did that.
Okay.
She was getting, these people who were in there were, I guess you could say, on the low income side, but they were covered by like Medicare or the whatever programs. And she was getting about $2,000 a month for each person in the home.
Okay.
And that was enough to pay another individual to help work and facilitate the time. And I think it was just 1 or 2 people who worked it. And that's how people do it. And they get a home. And I think that's a really good business for people out here. If you want to do a small business and you have,
just do it right. Just do it right. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are very caring, and you could make some good money just for 1 or 2 people, because a lot of it is just being there with them, and then if they have medical conditions, then the medical providers come into the house. They come and visit them.
Okay.
And then this way there's like 3 other people. It's not too crowded. They fix the bathroom to make it like handicap, this, that, like with the handlebars and stuff like that. And I think for the average, I don't know, average, middle America, that would be a really good, it could be a good, remedy for the situation. I personally have no problem with going in a facility. I already told my children because I've seen some really nice ones and I want to plan for it, because I think as you get a certain age, like, you can't manage a home. And every elder person that I know, their house starts to get crazy. And because they can't clean, they can't manage the stuff in their house. They don't need none of it. They can just get rid of it, but they're so attached to things. You get what I mean? Yeah. So they just start living in squalor. Ugh.
I mean, okay, but what about the idea of being in a financial situation where you're able to live in your own home, but have people there, caretakers to a certain degree. So you'll have your own space still that you can call your home, but they're upkeeping the house for you. You know what I mean?
Well, if you can afford it, that's what you want.
That's what I mean about, the financial part, and being a place where you have streams of income coming in and you don't have to worry about that. Because a lot of times it's always about the money, and people are living off of retirement, of Social Security, which is not enough.
I think that is a great idea. I mean, I think ideally that's the whole idea. I think the downside to that is, like I said, a lot of elderly, especially if it's going to be like a couple and one of them dies, and it's usually the man who dies first. I'm sorry, but that's what usually happens. The guy dies first. So it's a woman.
We know.
So usually it's a woman who is going to be living out the rest of her life alone. And it just becomes lonely, it just becomes lonely. And so that's why I said certain facilities offer, like, you're back in the dorm, like you have your friends there. You know what I mean?
Is that how Stella gets her groove back?
Yes. You know what I mean? And then also, what's the other thing? There's another program where especially elder folks who have a house, they got 2, 3, 4 bedrooms or what have you, right? younger people, up and coming, who have a regular job, blah, 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 they are pairing them together. I don't know if you've heard about this.
Mm-mm.
So
And
young people like college age, or maybe like right out of college, maybe like, young to like 20, 30, what have you, years old, are now rooming with the elderly.
okay, wow.
Yes. And it's becoming like very trendy because A, there's someone there to talk to, and B, um, you know, the younger person gets like I almost like a free room. I think it's either free or like very close to like low, and
Mm-hmm.
they become friends. And when I was in Puerto Rico, again, I spent a lot of time in Puerto Rico, so I always bring it up. I met an elder lady at the bank. Of course, anytime I heard anyone speak English, I would be like, you know, who's that?
Mm-hmm.
And so I saw her a few times walking around my town. I was in a little town called Luquijo. And I saw her, I was behind her at the bank, and she was having like a conversation with the teller. And when she left, I met her, like when I came out, I talked to her. She was a Black woman from Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
And she was from Baltimore, actually. And I just moved from Baltimore to Puerto Rico. So we became friends. And she was like 80 something years old. Her
Wow.
husband died, left her with a condo on the beach.
Wow.
She was
Okay.
by herself when she died. They found her alone, dead for a couple days. And
Mm.
that was because the guys, like it was like me and two other friends, two white guys who were at the beach bar. We
Mm.
were her friends.
Yeah.
And once she fell, and she called us, and we took her to the clinic.
Okay.
And what I got into was I would end up every Sunday, because she couldn't drive, she couldn't barely see,
Okay.
vision was poor. Every Sunday I took her to what was that restaurant called? Blah, blah, blah. It had like a breakfast buffet, like Ponderosa. Like I don't go to a restaurant like that at all.
All right.
But that was her thing. And so every Sunday I started taking her to Ponderosa, and she would like run around that buffet and eat it up. And I was just like concerned because she was alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
was well paid. She had money.
Wow.
But she wanted to live a particular freedom. She wanted to be free.
Yeah.
She didn't want anyone to bother her.
Mm-hmm.
She just had trouble getting to her appointments. You know what I mean? Like get to see the eye doctor. She couldn't drive. She had to take a taxi all the way into the city, San Juan. You know what I mean? I thought it was beautiful that she was independent. I just felt like, what if something happens? And lo and behold, that's what happened, because I was actually in the States when she passed away. And one of the guys called me and said, we found her, passed away.
Wow.
And that doesn't feel good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So here's part two to her story. She had another condo down further on the beach that she wanted me to help her manage for Airbnb, which I did.
Okay.
I got it cleaned up, situated, because at first, no one was in it. It was just empty. But I got it cleaned up. I organized, and I started renting it for her on Airbnb. Even got would go down there and get the key and da 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 da. So anyway, she passed away, and there were already reservations booked out on it, right? So she or someone had given me the number for her attorney. And I spoke to him, and I said, yes, I was doing the Airbnb. I got no, I didn't get paid for it. I was just helping her, just help her. Because she had this really nice condo with a beach in the condo. And I was like, why are you having it sitting here doing nothing, right?
Okay.
Anyway, I had like access to it and what have you. When I went back to Puerto Rico, I went and checked up on it and everything. Long story short, I got a letter from the lawyer saying like cease and desist from the project.
Really?
Even though the money from the Airbnb was still going into her account, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I believe happened. I believe the lawyer took the property himself. And that's not cool, because she has family. She doesn't have any children though. And she didn't have like a proper will, I believe. So I think her condo that she was actually in probably did get like they had to find her family, like her sister or something like that. But did you see that movie, I Care a Lot?
Never even
That
heard
right
it.
there. That's what it goes into. That right there is a scary part. When your shit is not in order, these people come
Last,
in.
last will and trust, power of attorney, all those things.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, they come in. If you're not taking care of your elderly, they'll come in and become a guardian. The state will become a guardian, and then all your property is going to be sold to pay the guardian.
Hmm.
And this woman was taking care of these people and taking their, like, depleting their everything they had. They were going in, they were the power of attorney. They were finding. Someone said he definitely did take her property. Lawyers do things like that more often than people would want to think about. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So like this is all part of care for our elders,
Yeah.
making sure papers are in order. That also happened to my grandmother, and that's why I had to step in. Oops, my earring dropped. That's why I had to step in and like some guy who cut her grass made her write him a check for $800.
$800. Damn.
$800.
How many yards she had?
It was, he bullied her into writing a check for him, saying, I need the money. This is for the, remember I did the nothing in your backyard, something or the other. I dug a hole or something. And she's like, oh yeah. And so this is when she was transitioning with dementia.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so she was kind of in and out of reality, and she wasn't diagnosed at the time. Yeah. So like all of these things start happening to your family, and it's like, I experience this so hardcore. It's like, who is taking care of who is doing what? You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Be organized about it. You know what I mean? When you get older, people out there in the world, how do you want to live when you can't wipe your own ass? Like, how do you want this thing to go?
Yeah.
Who do you want to touch on you, your body?
Well, it has to go back to what we were talking about. Like, are we preparing for it? Some people don't even like to think about that. You know what I mean? Sometimes people think that they're going to be young forever and they're going to be able to be moving around forever. But I mean, time flies. Time flies. And next year, you know, you got these golden years and you're wondering how these golden years, are they going to be enjoyable? Or are they going to be one of those things where you're going through all these health conditions, which is a whole different topic. That's another podcast we'll talk about. But even if you do have decent health, your mobility and your just your physical parts
gets frail.
Yeah, it's not the same. You know what I mean? So you can't get around and move like you used to. You know what I mean? That little heart of yours has been beating nonstop for over, 70, 80 years, even 90 if you happen to live that long. You know what I mean? So that's a long time, and that's a lot you're talking about. So just having some type of plan and thinking about that. Okay, what am I going to do when I get to that age? Who is going to be the one that's going to be there to help take care of me and make sure I have everything in order like I need to have it? And then, like I said, another topic in itself is the legal part of it, the power of attorney, the last will and trust, and all that good stuff. Who gets what, which, families fight all the time about who's going to get what, once
all the time
gone. Yeah, the property, everything from the property to the jewelry, sometimes even clothes, it's like
trash.
Yeah.
Trash. I mean, I have so many stories upon stories of people who have had traumatic fights with family regarding an elder person. I have a friend who lives very close to me, like in the neighborhood, who's one of 6 children. And he posted on Facebook one day, like how trash his siblings are because no one is helping him take care of his mom. Someone posted, she knew. I don't know how I stumbled on this conversation, but I have an experience where I did live and work with an elderly lady for 6 years. I witnessed firsthand how evil people can be when it comes to money and elders, even family. I'm so grateful to have learned those valuable lessons so early in my life. I will take those lessons with me forever.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah, so that part. And I mean, specifically your property and making sure the right people are signing the right documents before your mind is gone. You know what I mean? Before, like when you're in your right whole, like now, right now, like before your mind is gone, this is who I need to take to make not even to take care physically, but this is who I need to make sure that shit is taken care of properly.
Yeah.
Boom. You know what I mean? I can't stand some of the stuff I've witnessed over my lifetime. And, even in regards to my own grandmother, just how my grandmother had 3 children, and it was horrible. It was like the worst
Yeah.
thing in my whole life I've ever seen. Like I haven't even recovered from the treatment she got from her children besides my mom. Like I'm just like beside myself. I mean, I'm gonna tell you how heavy it's been. It was so heavy. I don't even have the desire to see my uncle or aunt again in life. I'm telling you, really.
Wow.
I'll say hi to them, but the way they treated my grandmother in her last stage of life was absolutely unacceptable. And the fact that she gave birth to them, there's just no way.
Yeah.
My mom also died of breast cancer, and I did everything I could to make sure she was taken care of. And that is, to me, the only standard. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's the
Yeah.
only standard. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
Stacy says, I took care of my mom until the day she died. I did it lovingly and wouldn't change a thing.
That
Exactly.
is my friend Stacy. Love you, girl.
Oh,
We high school classmates. We go back to 10th grade together. So that's
wow.
yeah.
And then the fact that, I'm an only child, so I didn't have to, rely on a sister or brother to bounce off of. But my personality is set up in a way where I'm not going to have too deep of a conversation with any.
Yeah.
The way my personality is set up, we're not going to have a long conversation about this. Either you do this or you get the fuck on. You know what I mean? Like we're not.
Yeah.
You know what
And
I
it's
mean?
unfortunate. It's unfortunate that a lot of our elderly have to deal with. I mean, there goes another. We can do a whole different podcast on elder abuse, and in these facilities, and sometimes not even the facility. Sometimes from their own family. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't.
And that's
There was this my mom, she was suffering from breast cancer, but at the end, a lot of just the body systems start breaking down, and she got water in her lungs. Like that's just part of health failure.
Yeah.
And literally, so she was in the Virgin Islands, and her last year of life she spent in Baltimore, where I was.
Okay.
And I got her an apartment. I was doing very well. I had my own restaurant, and I got her an apartment around the corner from my restaurant.
Okay.
And she lived there for a whole year until she died there.
Wow.
And she was just declining. She couldn't walk at any point. At that point, she was in a wheelchair. The cancer had spread into her bones. And at that point, it's fatal. And later on, her lungs started filling up with water, and she couldn't breathe. And she literally called me and said, I can't breathe. I can't. She was like gasping for air. I can't breathe. And I said, call 911. I'm going to call 911 too, and I'll be right over. So it took me by the time took me about 5 minutes to get over there. By the time I got over there, the fire ambulance thing was already there, and they had a whole oxygen thing on her and everything.
Yeah.
That's when we realized, okay, she can't be by herself for 1 minute.
Yeah.
Because the timing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that moment, I implemented a schedule, a 24-hour care schedule, because she had a boyfriend who was actually like 20 years younger.
Stella got her groove back.
Yes, hey. And he was there to the day she died, so I honor him. But he was there for her, right? But he was also burdened with the heaviest part of taking care of her. Like he was picking her up and taking her to the bathroom and putting her in the tub, and he was doing all of that, right?
Wow.
My uncle was in town. I was in town. And then we hired another friend of mine who was she had done like home health care aid.
Okay.
So we literally were like, well, what are your days off? And what time do you have? And what time in the morning? And you need a break. And I created a whole schedule because we didn't have it like that either. Like everyone was like working, you know?
Yeah.
We created a whole schedule where like 7 days a week, everyone knows that who's going to be with her for as long as for the schedule, just like a restaurant, a business.
Blocks of time, but everybody's
blocks of time.
Yeah.
Every day, every couple of days, whatever days off you have. I just immediately, as soon as that happened, They took her to the hospital for like a day, and they put like a thing where her lungs would drain out into a bag.
Mm.
And really, it was just basically called a care, a comfort measure. It's not solving any problem. It's just inevitable.
Yeah.
And it's
It's just
just so
kind of
that she won't,
delaying the inevitable. Yeah. Yeah.
right, because she's basically in hospice at this point.
Wow.
Yeah, so I created a schedule, and I was just like, oh my God. So long story short, um, I mean, the thing about my mom that was really pretty funny to me is she was like, when I get out of this, I'm going to come help you run your restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, I was like, I just wish she
But
could.
that's that positive mindset that, you know, people need to have when they're going through situations. You know, just staying positive and being positive definitely helps their energy, but it helps yours as well, knowing that they have that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's see. Rochelle, she said she had 6 of us, so the oldest and the youngest daughter will be taking care of her. She is still young and spry, but when the time comes, we got it.
I heard
There
that.
you go. That's organization.
Yes.
And she knew says Miss Fanny put her ducks in a row before her health started to decline, but even her lawyer was on some BS. He did some real messed up stuff to her power of attorney. Her sister-in-law stole $200,000 from her CD account. So I can't imagine how messed up things can go for an elder who didn't put their things in order.
But it happens so often, though. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. And then Rochelle said, my grandmother had fluid on her lungs, and that bag was the last effort to breathe. Absolutely. But yeah, that whole like, who's going to take care of not only like your home and your health, but who's going to take care of like paying bills and what have you, like that's a whole job.
Yeah, it's a lot, and it's a lot to be really, you know, like us talking about this now. Hopefully somebody sees this and thinks about it and maybe put some type of game plan together for that time, because, you know, hopefully, you know, it's not going to be to another 30 or 40 years, but to kind of have a little foresight to say, okay, this is some of the things I want to have in place and not have to put my people through or have to go through myself when the time comes, you know?
Yeah. There's insurance for it too. I mean, it's expensive, but
yeah, I mean, it's expensive to be in a facility. It's expensive to have home health care. It's expensive for all of this stuff, you know? So whatever you can put into place to help you out it's only a good thing.
What kind of ideas do you have for when you are at that point?
You know, I mean, you must talk about this being taken care of.
The whole gamut.
I just hopefully plan to be in a situation where I have the finances to have people around me that can care for me, as far as even if it's not family, you know what I mean, or people that care for me, and to be able to financially put them in a position that they can do that and just be as comfortable as possible in my own comfortable surroundings. You know what I mean? You often hear about people that pass away. They pass away peacefully around with their family around them, you know, at their bedside, at home. And I think ideally that's what you want to be able to do. You want to be able to be in that type of situation versus some people die alone, like, you know,
yeah.
the lady that you were talking about, you know, and just it's situations like that. I don't want to be in that situation. I want to be as peaceful as possible. You know, it's no way to explain it in an easy way, because it's a hard situation to deal with in any type of way. So I always say I'm not afraid of death. I'm just afraid of the people that I leave behind. So I want to try and make it easy for them as possible. Because, you know, we mourn when people die. You know what I mean? Like dying, the hard part is the people that you leave behind and knowing that they're going to be hurt and devastated. It takes years. Some people never get over the death of a parent or a sibling or a child. You know what I mean? So that part is, yeah.
Real.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's not us. It's the people that you leave behind. And those are the people that I worry about, you know?
So Rochelle says, would you trust your kids to take care of you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would, you know what I mean? But I don't want to put that burden on them like that. You know what I mean? I want them to be able to continue to live their lives, because when that happens, you got to kind of stop. They have to stop what they're doing to take care of you.
Yes.
So that's why I say I would rather be able to pay someone that does that. Because, you know, you have people out there that love being around elderly people and older people, love taking care of them, love loving them, and, you know, just doing the whole thing. So why not have them? You know what I mean? And pay them for it.
Yeah.
You know? So that's
people
kind of
are good at that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of my game plan for it, to just put myself in a position financially to where it can be as peaceful as possible, and I can be at home. You know what I mean? Around, surrounded by, ones who love me.
Right.
In those
Right.
times. And up until then, do everything I can to be able to be as fit as possible. Do everything I can to be able to get around
That
for
part.
myself. Yeah.
That
You
part.
know, those are
Health.
the things. Those are the things that you want to do. You want to have your health in the right way. So, like, whatever is going to happen, let it happen naturally. You don't want to force it, or not force it, speed it up by doing things that aren't healthy for you.
One of my really best friends, she has a grandmother still living. I think she's 100 years old already, and she's like kicking and like boom, like she walks around. She's physically active and everything.
Mm-hmm,
Rochelle says, I only have one kid and don't want to burden him. I try to take care of myself now to break the chain so I won't need that intensity of care. I feel like I have 5 children, and I definitely talk to them about later on in life that I want them to treat me like the goddess that I am. I
okay.
want organic juices flowing in the IV. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Mhm.
need it all. Um, Gloria says, when they tell me I have to go to a nursing home, that's the day I quit my dialysis and then I'm dead in 5 days. Wow. Man, I don't think a nursing home is that bad though. I mean, some are bad, but I don't think because here's my thing.
That's what I was going to say. Certain perspectives on nursing homes can be really
Are like
rough.
you've been sent to die. Yeah, I get that point 100%, but I also get the point. Like, okay, we're talking about a lot of this, we're talking about is death, right? Okay, forget the death part. There is a whole chunk of time when your elders are living, right? They're not super healthy, but they're still alive. And you have to account for you have to help them live. You got to help them live, right?
Yeah.
That's the bigger part of it, right? The death is like, okay, we're done. That care part in the middle, there's a lot of elderly, depressed alcoholics. There's just like a lot of drug addict drug addict elders. And I'm not saying drugs as in crack and stuff. I'm talking about they got like 90 million pills to stay alive. You know what I'm saying? And this is something I'm so passionate about. I mean, I can't even tell you how I've thought about this for years in opening some sort of wellness center for the elderly, because they are not really living. They're really like kind of like zombieing. You know what I'm saying? Like if they don't take this drug, they're going to die. So they're kind of like prolonging their struggle. You know what I'm saying? She
So,
knew said, this is such an important conversation. I'm only in my 30s. My daughter is only 1, but she is definitely going to be in charge of carrying out my care plan that I put in place. My son is 17. I wouldn't trust him to carry out my care because he doesn't listen. Exactly. Gloria worked in a nursing home for 14 years, so she knows firsthand.
yes, Gloria, give us some of what you visualize, what you've seen, and what you think needs to improve, and what you think is good, and just give us some feedback if you can.
Yeah, my son's grandmother is in an independent care
Okay.
apartment building, really nice.
Mhm.
They have, as you walk in, they have lounges, they have like a gym in there. They also have like a room that's kind of like a beauty salon. So like a couple of days a week, ladies come in and use the salon they make appointments almost like, so these ladies don't have to go anywhere. I mean, it's ladies and men, but they're independent living. But the fact of the matter is they don't have to manage a whole entire house, right? Second of all, their peers are there in the building. Third, they have activities that come to the building. These are folks that are independently living. They're not like they don't have those super health challenges. You know what I mean? They're not, some of them might be in a wheelchair, but they're not like completely out of it. Like they can
Yeah,
physically
because
walk, they
some
can take a
need special
shower.
care, and some aren't as bad. They just need some company and some people to be around. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're living in a building that, caters to the elders, and also the fact that their neighbors won't be blasting trap music and 2 o'clock in the morning smoking weed. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
I mean, some elders smoke weed. They
Glaucoma is a
do.
real, you got to do something for the glaucoma, you know?
Yeah, they do. And that helps them with their pain and to eat. So that's another story. But I'm just saying in terms of like the quality of life, you know, if your neighbor is a 25-year-old with kids and they got trap music going on and you're trying to sleep at 6 p.m., watch your like, you
Yeah.
know, Price is Right.
I
You don't
mean,
want neighbors like that.
yeah.
So
So it's definitely, the whole thing, having a plan put together, for that and kind of knowing what you want to do. And then like right now we're talking about this because we know the different things that could be an issue and a problem along the way.
So Gloria said the workers are overworked, but when state comes in, they count the nurses as an extra body, but the nurses have their own job to do, not help the aides. So
Mm.
Gloria, what was your job there? Were you an aide or were you a nurse? Rochelle says the independent living life is really nice. My grandmother and her husband lived in a complex that was only for elders. Yeah, that part.
Mhm.
So another thing that you probably didn't know about me was I was a volunteer at a hospice. And I did that for a while
Wow.
here in
Wow.
Georgia.
Wow.
And because I'm really passionate about the elders and their last part of their life is really important, and they don't have enough company, family is really busy and they just visit them when they can.
Mhm.
So I started volunteering on my days off at the hospice and that was heavy.
Yeah.
Now this one
I don't
had,
think I can handle that one right there. That's a
huh?
whole lot of. I don't think I can handle that one because you're seeing a whole lot of transitioning. You know what I mean? People transitioning there, and
Let me
that's.
tell you, everyone in this particular facility all had dementia or Alzheimer's.
Mm,
So every time I came to visit them, they didn't know who the heck I was. It was
wow.
just like, hey, how you doing? Just came to, and so I didn't really even spend too much time trying to
Get to
tell them
know
about this
people.
conversation we had last week because it was too much work. I would
Every
just,
conversation is a new conversation, basically.
it was like I'm a brand new person. You know what I mean? And I literally can almost repeat the same story over and over again.
Like a real
Gloria
life
said she was an
groundhog.
aide.
She was a
Gloria
okay.
said she was an aide in the nursing home, which means that she was one of the overworked, which is
Mm,
sad.
mm,
And Rochelle said I volunteered at hospice for a summer and it was too sad. Yeah. So I did some volunteer work at a hospice and it wouldn't be the choice I would put for my family members either, for sure. This place it was so crowded.
mm-hmm.
It was so crowded. And I literally went down the hallway and it was like, I guess you could say it was free time. And there were like 5 or 6 people in wheelchairs following me. And they were like, come, come. And I just felt like it was like a zombie. They wanted me to rescue them and take them out of there. Like they felt locked up. And I was just like,
Wow.
I don't know. I just can't, and
And that's the reason why I think certain people, those situations, like it needs to be some type of regulation when it comes to places like this. You know what I mean? For people in their last days, but please don't get me started on that because then I'll start
well,
talking
well,
how.
I honestly think the overabundance of having a gigantic facility is so friggin' unnecessary. Like you don't need to have a facility with 150 people who are going to die all together. Like it's like
Well,
attract likes. You know what I mean? It's like energy. You know what I mean? Like
I'm hearing that they do hospice different now. They're letting it do. You're letting them have people do the hospice in their own homes.
yeah, my mom did that 15 years ago.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's an
yeah.
option that you can take. But here's the thing, the hospice will only be able, if when you have hospice care at home, there's only but so much they can do
Yeah,
because they're not in a facility. So
yeah.
you have to be able to have certain requirements. Like you have to have someone else there, at least one person.
Mm-hmm,
You know what I mean? Full
mm-hmm.
time to
Yeah,
open the door. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
yeah. So when my mother had hospice care and she started declining more and more, then her nurse would like note, okay, we're going to have to come not every other day, but every day. or
Mm,
in the morning and at night, and now we're going to come 4 times a day. And they would, all the services kind of like amped up as she was declining further.
mm,
So yeah, hospice care at home I think is a lot more comfortable. My mother was like, do not put me in any facility. I was telling her she should. Like, I was even like, yeah, I think it would be great. And she was like, just kill me now.
mm.
She was like, just kill me, just kill me. Bridget says, I have 4 other siblings and I'm the only one taking care of her. I'm assuming your mom. We have different dads. They put him in a nursing facility. I said, not my mom. This is a real,
Mm.
this is a real thing for families that,
Yeah.
that happen. I experienced it with my grandmother and my mother. I took care of my grandmother for 9 months with
Mm,
dementia,
mm.
and I almost died. I didn't almost die. Cancel that. I just felt like it
It was
was
very
such
draining. Yeah, it's probably very
it
draining.
was it was a mess for the whole family. I had my kids, and I'm like, wait a minute. She has 2 whole grown ass adult children. Why am I doing this? My mother already passed away. Like, I was just getting resentful and upset because it's like I can't do anything. You always
Rightfully
have to
so. Yeah.
consider. You always have to consider your movement because you have a whole human being that you're taking care of. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Khadijah says, that's my plan. She took care of me when I couldn't take care of myself. It's an honor to do the same for her. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like, that's a big thing that the elders really need to be mindful of because they're so disconnected from their wellness.
Yeah.
I mean, they're living longer, but they're really medicated longer. You know what I mean?
And
But
when you have a certain degree of health at an older age, you kind of think that health is going to last forever, and everybody is going to decline. Like, nobody beats Father Time. Nobody. You know what I mean? Father Time catches up with everyone. So eventually, you're going to slow down. Eventually, if you don't develop any kind of health conditions, your body is just going to have to slow down because it's, you got these bones that are older that's been around. These organs, these lungs, these muscles, and all that. Gravity starts taking over. You know what I mean? All these things you have to think about if you make it to that 80 and 90, years old. And, what do you,
100.
yeah, 100, what do you do to keep going? I mean, I would love to have somebody like that on, somebody that's really, really old, like 100 or close to 100, and kind of talk to them and get their, secret of what they've been doing, what's been able to keep them going, at an older age. Find
Mm.
out. Yeah.
They just need a little young boyfriend. You know what I'm like?
Why come it can't be a girlfriend? I'm just
Whatever they
saying.
want, whatever they want. I don't care. Whatever rocks their boat. So Gloria says, I don't want to sound crude, but my funeral is already planned. I know that by the time I'm around 80 and can't take care of myself, then it's over. I don't want any tubes or respirators. My kids know my wishes are, yes, we can't live forever. And it's just being honest.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's true.
New says, the person who advocates for your care when you're older is so important. Miss
Mm-hmm.
Fanny was being severely over-medicated before I started working with her. I took my concerns to her doctor. He stripped off about 5 prescriptions. It was like she came alive all over again. The quality of her life improved tremendously. We did all of the things she loved. We went to play bingo, got our nails done, went out to eat. She lived until she was 95. They originally gave her an 8-month prognosis. She died, I would say, 6 years later. It cut off, but yeah. And it's like, that's the same thing with me and my grandmother. I took her out to get her nails done. We went to lunch. I took my grandmother to church. I'm not a church goer, but I went with her to church because I know that was her thing.
Enjoyed it, yeah.
And I actually enjoyed it. It was dope.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those come as you are churches, like people wearing jeans and stuff. And it was so funny because my grandmother used to take me to church and she would always have to dress me up with the stockings and all of that stuff. And I was resisting because I was a tomboy. And I was like, I hate wearing dresses. And she was like, the Lord wants to see you in your Sunday best. And I was like, I don't think so. I think the Lord is fine if I was nude.
Definition of Sunday best, hey.
So she knew, said Miss Fanny would always say, all I need is a young man in the morning, honey.
Woo! Well, okay.
My grandmother's sister, the elder who lived till 102, she was fresh. She was fresh. Yes, she was fresh. She liked her little, every time I would come around, she's like, and she was from, she's an island woman. She's like, yo, I have a big wrong ass. So
Wow. Okay.
Old
I
and
wasn't
fresh.
ready. I wasn't ready.
Yes. You weren't ready for that. Yeah, she was like, yeah. But the real big deal is like having a plan. Gloria is all the way right. My funeral is already planned. Gloria, my funeral is not planned, so I am definitely going to write that on my things to do list. I think isn't having a living will such an important thing, because
I think that's part of it. Your living will is part
yeah.
of your funeral, but I mean, I don't know. Some people say that's morbid when you start talking like that, but I mean, it's an uncomfortable conversation, but it's a conversation that needs to be had.
No, people have living wills at 40 years old, or or whatever age, because it's like you can die at any minute. You know what I mean? This is not even elder care. This is just like
nothing is promised to anyone.
This is what's going to happen to me when I get old and I can't do nothing, and then when I die. So all of that needs to be put in order. And you can download a template on Google and just start writing stuff up.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, just get it together. I mean, if not the financial part is really important, but at least having your wishes. I remember having that conversation with my mom, like, when you die, how do you want your funeral? Like, how do you want this to go? And it was hard to have the conversation because she was in denial. Or not denial. She's just like, she was kind of like, well, that's not going to really happen. I
mean, for some people, that's an uncomfortable conversation to have, or thinking about their mortality,
I mean, it's real though. And it has, you have to have these hard conversations.
I mean, hell, you're going to be reincarnated anyway. So what's the big damn time? I don't went way too far.
I mean, it's just real. It's just real. I think this might be like really crass because we were just talking about, was talking about Miss Fanny was very fresh. And loved your boyfriend. Do you provide, when I say you, do people provide like, lovers for the elderly?
Well, see, you just went all the way there.
I'm just thinking like, everyone has needs.
It's a whole different conversation in itself. I mean,
it's part of elder care. Why should someone just be dying without having a little love and affection?
I mean, I guess that's the question of do elderly require that? Do they require some
people need human touch. They need love. Sex is part of eating like that. I mean, that's part of our basic necessities: eating, sex, take a shower, rest, so why not?
You don't want to get too excited because you might stop the heart. You don't want to do that. You're old, that heart is, it can't take too much of that rapid heartbeats,
Someone says Rochelle said, if they don't provide that lover for the elderly, I'm going to start an LLC. I mean, it's a great business because it's essentially prostitution, but you can spin it as like a health aid. You know what I mean? Like a home health care aid, we got you. We got this massage right here.
When we get on a nationally syndicated program, when they say the views, points, and opinions expressed by those on this program are not the viewpoints of this broadcast system.
No, but I really feel like these are things that you got to talk about because I have a friend whose brother is.
Rochelle says home remedies. It's holistic.
Right, Rochelle, exactly. I have a friend whose brother has always been, what is it? What is the right word for mentally challenged?
Okay.
That word.
That's about as politically correct as we can go with it, yeah.
So, but she said that they have had to hire home health care aides to come and satisfy him because he was sexual. That's a thing.
So never mind. I'm not even going to ask.
What did you ask it?
How what part of the job is that? What is the job description? Where does that come in as a job description? You know what I mean? I'm just saying.
Okay, what I'm saying is they're not a home health care aide. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the other type of home care aides. Do you not get it?
I get it. I'm just reading some of the, I mean,
Okay.
I'm
Anyway,
there.
Rochelle, like Rochelle said, it's holistic. Gloria says, I live in a senior building and there's a lot of that going on. As for me, they should not wear diapers and be able to drive at night. I think I'm very picky. No, when you say there's a lot of that going on, are you talking about the frilly fuzziness we just started talking about, the sexuality?
Adult
You
activities.
said LOL, yes. Call it Young Men in the Morning LLC. Girl, you have a whole business you just started.
There it is.
Rochelle, my cousin needed to have release and he was mentally disabled. Yep, that's what it was. There's a need for sex work is real work. Come on now.
I'm not even gonna say it's not. I'm just gonna say.
Okay, let's think of the elder people. And that's another thing. Let's talk about physicality and depression, right? A lot of these elder folks are out at home watching The Price is Right and all these like,
And they should be watching Debbie Does Dallas or
John
something.
Wayne country western till my mind explodes, right?
And they should be watching the Best of John Holmes or something. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is, you know, a lot of these elderly need a little, you know, love and affection.
I'm not saying it's not true. I mean,
hey, a little Netflix and chill, you know.
If you older and everything is still working like it should, I mean, hey.
What is wrong with, like, you know, a little refresher?
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it.
I'm saying that's a whole business. That's such important. Let me tell you what
the elderly in that state. That's all I'm saying.
That was like a whole meme at some point I saw online somewhere. But you know what that would do for elderly who don't have like a partner? A little razzle dazzle, Rochelle. Thank you.
I guess so.
That would make people happy. They would be smiling. You know, they say when you find these women who are asexual or you know, they don't have a partner and they haven't had an O in months and years. They're just these hellified bitches walking the earth. You get what I'm saying?
Hey, they always say the sugar daddies is in need, so hey.
Yo, it's a whole business. It's a whole lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? I'm affirming that to the day.
Somebody got to spend that money, right?
I mean, it doesn't have to be money. It could be it could be an arrangement. It could be like, you know, little boyfriend, little girlfriend, little, you know, a wheelchair, you know, hookup. You know, like they just like going over. Hey, that's how my mind thinks. Okay.
Okay. Well, yeah, I totally get it.
Rochelle, you got a business, please, and send me the details, and I will find you some clients for sure. You know what I'm saying?
You help promote it on the show.
Yeah, Rochelle, it's all done. It's done.
That could be one of our
wheelchair hookups.
That'll be one of our promoters. I mean, sponsors.
I mean, who do you think is sitting at home watching Pornhub all the day long?
Teenagers.
Elderly. They ain't got nobody.
I'm on the wrong spectrum. I'm down here. It's up here. Okay.
It might be kids, but it's a lot of. They said I saw something. They said Pornhub is being watched the most in the Bible Belt, right here in Georgia. The most.
I believe it.
The most.
I wonder how much it went up since the
pandemic. Funny about that part. So
I said, I wonder how much it went up since the pandemic started.
You know, Gloria says, she said, I'll make you laugh. I told my 93-year-old mother, if I found someone I would have in once a week to service me and out the door he goes, she agreed. I mean, this is real talk. Tony, you don't even recognize what's going on here.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying
this is a real thing. This is part of elder care. This is part of, at some point, you might not have a partner. The other person, usually it's the guy. I'm not saying, usually the guy, he just keels over. Yeah, it's going. This is what's happening. The father is gone. He died, what have you. And you have a bunch of single elder women who need to be held. They need love, they need care, they need attention. That needs to be in the care plan. And now that we've talked about it, I'm going to make sure that is part. Y'all better find me somebody because Y'all better find me some cutie with muscles. That's all I got to say. I'm
Man,
just like
they gotta have
my
muscles, huh?
huh?
So they gotta have muscles, huh?
Look, whatever. Cute smile.
And on that note,
Is that too much? Okay. Anyway, it's a real conversation, y'all, and I think we touched on some major components.
mhm.
Yeah, components. So,
Oh,
yes,
please,
please.
go to the YouTube channel, like and subscribe, please. We're trying to get our YouTube numbers up. We're good on Facebook, but on YouTube, if you guys can click on the YouTube page, like and subscribe.
Yeah,
Share
just
and
look up
comment.
Sky Juice and Tony B on YouTube. I'll try to post that on the next. That's a good idea. On the next
Yeah, put it
video,
as a banner. Yeah,
thing, I'll put it in so it's easier to find once
yeah,
you join.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll put a
But
link
just
in
look
there.
us up on YouTube. We're all over the place. And Rochelle is watching from YouTube. Thank you.
Yeah, we can
We're,
tell by
we're,
the little
we're,
red.
we're simulcasting from both Facebook and YouTube because we're hot. Thank you, Gloria. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much, Gloria. Thanks for
And
chiming in
Bridget
and giving
and
some
all the
input.
rest of you guys.
Bridget as
Definitely we're
well.
gonna do this again. So have a good night. See you late. Oh, that didn't sound good. All right.